Okay, this is the oil cooler from a 2.2 DTI Frontera. It's sort of buried in there. This is what one looks like when it's out, a brand new one. That's the top where the oil filter goes in. This is the bit that the water runs through to cool it, and then the oil goes through the back. The problem is how to get it out. So I'll take the front wheel off, and there is a bit of a gap through here. So that's the oil cooler. Now this pipe that's on here, you can see, has been put in to bypass the oil cooler temporarily, just to see why there's oil getting into the coolant. Having bypassed the oil cooler and blocked the pipes off, so no oil comes out, it's clear that the water is getting contaminated by the oil from the oil cooler, because now it's not getting oil in it. So the trick now is to try and get the damn thing out, which seems extremely difficult from the top or the bottom. Anyway, I'll take some more pictures when I've got some more stuff removed. Okay, next thing to do is get these two E12 star bolts out. There's one there and one there. Okay, that's the bottom two out. There's another two, one there and another one, oops, just up there. And to get to those, I've had to make myself up a collection of extension bars, because I don't have anything that's long enough to get in there. And that's a E12 star bit adapter on the end. Okay, the top two bolts are really difficult to get to because they don't line up with the hole in the wheel well, but you can just see there's a bracket that holds the dipstick on here, which goes around there and fixes under the left hand screw. So I've managed to get a short extension bar on that. I can then get the screw undone, or the bolt undone. I've managed to get my hand in there and just hand turn that to get that last third bolt out, which is nearly there. I'm just hoping that somewhere releases the dipstick bracket as well. It's coming. It still doesn't want to come out, but I think it's more to do with the hose. There's a hose in the way on the back of the socket. Okay, back in a minute. Okay, so it's not a slight problem. This part of the wiring loom goes behind the dipstick. It connects up to this large connector, which goes into the sort of diesel body or something. I need to take that out. It's got a little clip there at the top and another one at the bottom. Just have to prise that up a little bit, and then this will come out. And as it comes out, it slides this bit out. You see, it's a interlock. You prise that up. There's a sort of gear that moves it all. It says, here we go. You should push that all the way. That'll start to move this out. Once that's fully out, you should be able to wobble the connector and get it off the throttle body or something, whatever that is. It's very tight, but it won't come off because I've had it out already. And I've just been joined by a local cat. It's not mine, but clearly it's very nosy. There we go. There he is. Also give me a hand to fix the car, haven't you? Okay, so that connector just comes out, and we're not much better off because down here there's a wiring loom again that goes off and is joined to this one, so we can't really free it off much. But I can move that bracket now. And you can see, I'll get the camera to focus, that's the bolt just down there next to that bracket. Can't really see it, but you can just see the bolt down there. So undo some more stuff. Here's the final bolt, is just in there. You just see I've got a socket on it down in this hole here. You just get a 3/8 on there. Get that one undone as well. Okay, the house is now loose, so I've got all the bolts out and it will actually move. But it's still connected to the dipstick, and that's because there's another bolt in here which you can't quite see. But basically it's this bolt here on the housing. There's a bolt in there and that's holding the dipstick on, so I've got to take that out first and hopefully I'll lift the whole unit out. That bolt's out. I can free the harness off a bit more now, but this bracket seems its only purpose seems to be tie wrapped to these two cables. So one cut through them temporarily just to get that out because it's in the way. So that's a very complicated bracket with 3 bolts, and all it does is support 2 cables at either end. Talk about, oh, it's 4 bolts, talk about over engineering. Okay, everything's undone now. The only thing that's stopping this coming out, I don't know if you can see that, is those 2 pipes there which run behind this, which is the dipstick, and between that and the housing for the oil cooler. And at the moment I can't see exactly how to get them out. I don't know what they are. They might be fuel lines, but they're in the way. So whether I can lever them past the dipstick or take them off, I'm not totally sure at the moment. There's not, it needs about 1/2 inch clearance. I might just be able to lever things out of the way a little bit. But let's have another go. So as I mentioned, there are 2 lines. There's the top one's there, you can see. There's one underneath that as well, and they're preventing, they're wedged between the oil cooler and the dipstick, which won't move, and they're fuel lines. So I've disconnected the top one. I think when I get both of those out, I should be able to lift the oil cooler out because they're just the only thing stopping it at the moment. There's one there disconnected, there's one underneath it as well. They're both fuel lines. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So these are 2 fuel lines that were connected down here and ran between the dipstick housing, dipstick and the housing for the oil cooler. But as you can see, that is now loose. But of course, this bracket that is still fixed to the dipstick housing is in the way, so it will not come out. And at the moment, I can't see how to get the dipstick out. It's not bolted or anything else other than being pushed into the engine. Normally they just pull out the O-ring, but this one just doesn't want to budge. It's just absolutely stuck. So either I'll try and bend it, which I don't want to do because it breaks, or it doesn't look like it's got to go far actually, but it's just too far. I think it's going to break off, or I might bend it, in which case the dipstick won't work, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to have a poke around down there so we'll figure out how that's bolted in. But we're getting close, I think. So I've had to resort, I'll try the slide hammer just to try and pull the dipstick out of the engine, but it just will not come out, and I don't know whether it's screwed in, bonded in, welded in, I don't know. So what I've had to do, it's a bit of a bodge, but I've managed to lever this bracket, which normally bolts on there, just about 45 degrees. It's got quite a long piece of metal here, so I've bent it back a little bit just to give me enough room to lift this out. Now, I don't think I can lift it out without holding the camera, so I'm going to have to turn off the video, but I'm pretty sure now, with all these pipes off and everything else off, that'll come out. I'm going to have to bend that bracket back again to bolt it back on, if I can get it back in. I have to say, this is a pig of a job. Okay, so one extra thing I had to do, I've had to take the top hose off the heater to give me enough clearance to get past. There's a solid fuel line down there that just rubs on here if you don't have enough room that side. So I've just disconnected that, and now I believe we are clear, just about. Just got to make sure that down there, that's the one of the inlets for the fluid. And there she comes, she's out after about 4 hours. So that's what it looks like. And it's full of goo because it's full of water. Bucket. Okay, now we can see how that unit came out. Sorry, just focus on that. A couple of things I'm going to do to help myself get the new one back in, because it's hard enough to get the damn thing out. Getting it back in again is going to be even harder. So I'm going to take this bracket off, which gives me a bit more room there. I'm going to take the other hose off of the heater. That'll give me a bit more space on that side. I think that's about all I can take off for the moment, because I don't really want to take all the injector hoses apart, just in case I get oil in it, or air in it, sorry. But I think I can get past them if I give myself a little bit more clearance on that side. Make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to clean this face up first, and then try and get it back in. Job for tomorrow, I think. Okay, so with the advantage of Amazon Prime, I've got myself some 3/8 extension bars to make it a little bit easier to get all them bolts back in. So now with long extension bars, we can get those 2 bolts in. One there and one there. That's the bottom 2 in. Top ones I'm not done yet, but what I've done is I've taken those heat hoses off, and that connectors on that bracket gives me plenty more room to get in. As you can see, there's a lot more room to move stuff around now. These 2 diesel pipes out of the way, you can see plenty of room to get the top 2 connectors in, top 2 bolts. I just need to work out what I'm going to do with this metal bracket that gets in the way of everything. And I've bought some extra tubing for these 2 diesel pipes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to route them around the outside, just to make it a little bit easier if the thing ever has to come out again, because it's stupid running them between the dipstick and the oil cooler, because it's just in the way all the time. You can't get any of the bolts, and obviously with them out of the way, it'll be a much easier job just to undo 4 bolts and take it out with a bit of loom out of the way. So that's my next job, get these top 2 bolts in, and then look at rerouting the hoses. Right, well the next thing that's got to go back in is these top 2 bolts, and this metal bracket. Now, I'm not exactly sure why they bothered making this, because it's got a hole either end that had, one there as well, that had a couple of clips on it to hold the loom, and there's another hole there which is a P-clip again that goes around the loom. Other than that, all it does is serve to get in the way of the top bolts, because when they're in you can't see the damn things because they're hidden by the bracket. So I'm just umming and ahhing whether it's worth even putting that back in, because it appears to serve no purpose whatsoever other than to get in the way of everything you want to do. So I'm going to have a go at putting it back in, but if it becomes too much of a drag, I'm just going to leave it out, because it appears to do absolutely nothing other than hold the loom in place, which I can tie out to the pipes or something else. But yeah, I don't know why they've done that. There must be a better way to make it easier to get to. So I'm just holding a screwdriver there, hold this bracket in place. You can see it, that's the bracket there. It covers this screw on the left hand side, and it also obscures access to the one on the other side. I say, if I'm going to reroute the pipes anyway, there's nothing for that bracket to actually do. So if I take that out, you can see just how much more visibility you get. there, which is the first hole we need to get to, and the other hole there, which is so much easier to get to, that bracket. So that bracket, I'm going to screw, obviously that's the bracket that holds the dipstick on. I'll bend that back into place and screw that back on. But my pipes for the diesel aren't going to run through this gap anyway, it's just going to be the loom. So I'm just going to fix the loom onto the dipstick. I mean, cannot see what that bracket does other than just getting away with everything. So it's coming out. I know it's a bit of a bodge, but hey ho, it's my car. So it goes. Okay, so we've got the bottom hose on this side on. The other hose on that side is now on. We've got the bolt here, you can just see if I've got the right way. It's the bolt for the dipstick mount, and now that's all bolted in nicely. I've just got to put the two hoses back on for the heater, and then this main bit of loom for this connector goes through this gap, and normally these two hoses go through there as well, but I'm going to reroute them around the back of this aircon hose. I'll follow the same route as this bit of loom round, and they connect onto these two pipes down here, but that basically will give me loads of space down there if I ever need to get this thing out again. And you can get the bolts now, because you can see they're clearly visible. Now I've not got that stupid bracket in the way. So I'm hoping job's nearly done. Alright, so we've got the fuel pipes back on there. These are the new pipes I'm using. So hopefully I can reroute them in a minute. This big connector's got to go back on next. It's got a sort of cam action that locks it in, so it won't rotate until you get it in the socket. So just get that lined up in the right place. And as you start to push it, that will go in. Once that's starting to go in like that, you can pull this lever and get to it. And basically you push and pull at the same time, and that locks that into place. So I've got a bit more plumbing to sort out here. There's the two pipes I'm going to reroute around the back. This is the loom that's connected to that connector. It does go between the dipstick and the housing now, but you see there's still a lot more room down there than there was. I can still see all the bolts. So with these pipes out, that makes it much easier to get to. Okay, everything's back together. So we've got the radiator for the hoses for the heaters all done. These are the two fuel lines. I've just run around, I've clamped them to the air conditioning hose, and that gets them way out of the way now, so there's loads of room there. And the only thing that's going between the dipstick and the oil cooler is that bit of loom that goes up to that big connector. Everything else is nice and tidy, and more importantly, we're going to have a look underneath. Now you can see we can get to all of those screws, both top and bottom. There it'll take all the hoses out of the way. They were causing me the most grief to get on them bolts. So